Morning, folks. I'm Roger Ramsey. I'm the executive chef here at the Hardin Schools Early College and Career Center in the culinary pathway. Chef Keisha's with me. Mr. Bobby stopped by. He brought his friend Izzy, so we got kind of help in the kitchen today, which is good. We're making some pasta. Not just any old pasta. We're making filled pasta. So the plan is we're going to put together some manicotti. It's what, we're going to make some, what else was it? Cannoli. We'll put together some cannoli, which really in the pasta, but you don't really need much of an excuse to make cannoli. We're going to put together some ravioli. So, try our hand at making a little pasta dough. I've done it before. It's a lot of work. We're going to do it again. And then we're going to try a little cheat. We'll talk about that later on. So, to get started, let's make some pasta dough. It's going to take a few minutes, but it's a simple matter. We've got some flour, a couple of eggs, a touch of water, and some salt. That's about all there is to it. Easy peasy, right? It's a little bit of work though, so let's get started. So, first, I just wiped down this table just before y'all got here. First thing we're going to do is pour out our flour. Now, this is 3 cups of, recipe says all-purpose flour. We have better. I'm using high gluten flour or bread flour. Reason being, it's about a protein in it that will form the bands, make it nice and give it a lot of structure, like a loaf of bread, where we don't want it necessarily nice, soft, and fluffy like a cake or a biscuit. So we've got 3 cups of high gluten flour or bread flour. We need 2 eggs right in the middle. Along with that, need a little salt. Got to make it taste good. And what I'm going to do, we have a cup of water that's going to go in. I'm going to try to get those eggs broken up and a little bit of flour mixed in with it before we put the water in. Let's see if we can get this done. That's just a plain old dinner fork. No special tools required. Strong back and weak mind. Oh. Now, ideally, again, I'm not well practiced at this. I understand the principles. Ideally, you want to keep putting the flour from the inside of the well. You don't necessarily want the dam to break just yet. We'll get there shortly, but we want to have it a little more incorporated before we do that. So, I mentioned Mr. Bobby was with us today. He's not going to be on camera. He's not feeling great, but he still wanted to come hang out with us. He's doing a lot of mise en place, making a load lighter for Chef Keisha and me. He brought his friend Izzy. Izzy was one of our students at summer camp. She came from my culinary camp and for Chef Pitt's baking camp. So, and here she is again. A little flour. There we go. So to get all this water in, we'll start breaking the dam down. And now, we make a mess. I brought a bench scraper to help get things started. And anytime you're working with flour, well, anytime you're using flour as structure, you need to understand it's kind of a finicky beast. It's never the same on 2 days. It will draw moisture out of the air. So, I brought a little bench flour, a little extra just in case we might need it, but I think we're going to be okay. Now, that's kind of shaggy. I think we can get our hands in it now. And now it's just like making a bread dough, more or less. You're kneading. So kneading is a process of building up that gluten I was talking about, right? Glutenase is the protein in the flour. You agitate it and add liquid, water, milk, and work it. Those gluten strands will bind together and get longer and longer and firmer and firmer. And this process of kneading is the agitation that the gluten needs to form those bands. So, kneading is a fairly simple process. It's pushing the dough away from you, giving it a quarter turn when you pull it back, and all over again. Pick up a little more flour. Now, This is going to take a minute. Actually, it's going to take closer to 10 minutes. I don't expect y'all to sit there and watch me do this for 10 minutes. I run out of things to say, start singing. Nobody wants that to happen. So, y'all go get your cold drink, do your business, whatever you need. We'll come back, have this put together, and we'll start making some food. So, come back. Well, I don't know, it's 12, 13 minutes later or so, and this is what our dough ball looks like now. Now, we spent all that time building up those proteins, that gluten. We need to let it relax. So we're going to put it right here, piece of plastic wrap, and toss it in the fridge and just let them sit there for a minute and chill, literally. A couple different reasons for that relaxation. Number one, the big one is all those gluten strands are active right now. They're bounding up. If we try to roll it out, it's just going to pull itself right back up into a ball. That's not going to help. And it allows any of the last remaining bits of flour to go and be hydrated by the water we've had and the egg that we put in there. So we're going to put this in the fridge, let it rest for a few minutes, drag it back out, and roll some pasta shortly. Meanwhile, we've got a couple dry pastas we're going to work with. So be right back. Okay. Well, folks, while that hand-rolled pasta, well, it's not been rolled yet, that handmade pasta is relaxing in the fridge, we're going to go ahead and start on some of our dry pastas. I'm going to be making manicotti, and that's a little tube-shaped pasta. It has a couple different components. The pasta in itself, bought it at Miss Kroger's. It's going to have a sauce that it lays in and gets covered with, and it has a filling that's some ground meat and some cheeses, a little herbage like that. So let's get started on the sauce first. And what we have here, with some straight off the recipe, we have olive oil. Yes, we do. We have onion, carrot, celery. We have garlic. We have a little salt and pepper. We've got some peeled diced tomatoes, a little bit of sugar right there, and bay leaf. So this all goes together quite simply. Okay, so 2 tablespoons olive oil in a hot pan. Now, often I'll tell my students, just because the recipe says you need olive oil doesn't necessarily mean that you need olive oil. It just kind of became a niche thing. This time, use olive oil. All right, it's actually part of flavor profiles. It's just going to make you a better product. More often than not, vegetable oil is as good as olive oil. Not this time. All right, we got vegetables in there. Let's give them a little love with some salt and pepper, right? Always remember, season in layers, right? We're going to sweat these down probably 4 or 5 minutes or so. Get them softened. Let them release their flavors into the oil. Now, we're not putting garlic in just yet. It will go shortly. The reason for that is garlic burns much easier than carrots, onions, and celery do. So if we put the garlic in the same amount of time and the same amount of heat as the rest of our mirepoix vegetables, it's going to burn. It will go next, however. I'm going to take our bay leaves, just put in with our tomatoes, and we don't have to worry about those anymore. And sugar. Why in the world would you need sugar in your sauce? Well, we don't know how sweet the tomatoes are. Or, at the end of it, might not need the sugar at all. Maybe they're too sweet, need a touch of vinegar. We don't know. We'll know when it's done. So that's just kind of a seasoning at the end. It might need a touch of sugar, might need a touch of vinegar. Let's go and get our garlic in, let it release its wonderful aromas. Now, y'all have seen us cut vegetables, you've seen us chop garlic. We did that before we got started because we got a lot of work to get done today. We won't take up all your time showing you stuff we've already shown you. So, if you're keeping up, if you are, the vegetables went in here. The cut is called a brunoise. Ooh, fancy French word. B-R-U-N-O-I-S-E, brunoise. And the dimensions of it, it's a cube cut, like a dice. Oh, it's half the size of a small dice. So instead of a 1/4 inch cube, it's only 1/8 of an inch cube. All right. Smell the garlic now, so we're going to add in our tomatoes, tomato juice, and a couple bay leaves. Now, word about bay leaves. They're wonderful to cook with. They impart more aroma, but make sure you keep track how many bay leaves you put into your dish because you have to take them back out. They're not good eats. Well, I'm going to take this off our little camp stove, go put it on a burner and let it do its thing. It's going to cook probably upwards 20 or 30 minutes or so. While I'm gone, I'm going to grab the stuff, our stuffing stuff for our manicotti, and we'll get busy with that. So y'all don't go anywhere, or if you do, hurry back. Okay, well folks, we've got the sauce on. It's doing its thing. It's going to rock away for the next 15, 20 minutes or so. We need to make the filling for our manicotti. So what's in the bowl, you may ask? Just a little bit of ground meat. Okay, this is a combination half ground beef and half ground pork. Culinary tip: if you're working with ground meats, particularly sauces, meatballs, meatloaves, use a variety of meats. Particularly veal if you can get it. Lamb's pretty good. And the reason, it just gives you more depth of flavor. The folks are going to know that something's different and not know what it is. And all it is the difference in the meats. So, this is going into these shells shortly. So we need to make sure the pieces are broken up fairly finely. Okay? What else goes in? I left my recipe way over there. You notice I put some gloves on now. That's for handling all this. We've got our ground meats in. We need a little bit of onion. It says half a cup. That's a little too much. Let's call it about like that. And again, this is that brunoise cut. It cooks faster and leaches out more flavor. Okay, let's see what else goes in. We need some ricotta cheese. Here's something if you didn't know it. Ricotta is not really a cheese. It's byproducts from making cheese that's brought back together in cheese form. And I have nothing to open that with. Excuse me. So, ricotta is not really a cheese, but it's brought back together from the byproducts of making cheese. I don't care, it's a wonderful product. That's about 15 ounces if I read that package correctly. What else goes in there? Cup and a half shredded mozz. There we go, pizza cheese. Parmesan cheese, parsley, we've got it right there. A little garlic, salt and pepper. Now, keep in mind, we salted the meat when we cooked it. The cheese has, mozzarella cheese has some salt in it. Parmesan cheese has quite a bit of salt in it. Ricotta cheese, not so much. So we're not really flavoring, seasoning the whole mess. We're just kind of mostly making sure that the ricotta is looked after. So, not a big dump of cheese, a little bit of love, good to go. Then we've got our manicotti shells. So, we've got this conglomeration. All we're going to do is bring it together. Use the world's oldest mixers, your fingers. Now, yes, there's raw garlic in there. It's going to be okay. This gets baked in the oven, so it's going to get cooked again. Now, if you didn't notice, also laid out on my table is a pastry bag. That's how we're going to manipulate the filling into the manicotti shells. And for that, I got to get gloves off. So how do you fill a piping bag? Turn the top down like a big collar. And then hold it from the inside. Give it a little shake. Now, we got to get rid of that air pocket. That's easy enough. Since I had to go get a knife to open the cheese, we'll just use that same knife to open the bag. Make sure to throw this away first. Before you do anything else, throw that away. You don't want this in your food. Now, if there's a trick to this, it's not blowing out the sides of your pasta. What I like to do, I'm gonna scoot this stuff back, use the sheet pan. Because I'm working by myself, kind of squeeze it at the last couple inches. Yeah. And there we go. One down. Squeeze it all back down in the chute. Another tube. Now, these pasta tubes did get part cooked. So they got boiled 3 or 4 minutes or so before they came back to get filled. Hey, it makes your life a little easier to fill from the middle to both ends. That was much easier than the first one, and it looks better. 2 down. Three down and several to go. Folks, I'm gonna go check on my sauce, finish filling these pasta tubes, manicotti, and we'll get something else going for you here shortly. So, be right back. Well, folks, got those manicotti stuffed. Now, if you don't have a piping bag and you don't want to go get one, here's a little thing you can do. Take you a Ziploc bag, put your filling in that Ziploc bag, seal it up, then cut one corner off. Easy peasy. We just happen to have some piping bags. So I've got the manicotti filled, got the sauce in there now. The sauce, I tinker around with it a little bit because I can. It's particularly chunky. It's a heavy sauce. It goes well with what we're serving it with. And that's what's on the bottom. About 2/3 of the sauce we made is in the bottom of the pan. Now, what to do with that other third was pureed it with a little bit of chicken stock. So it's a little different texture, exactly the same ingredients, except for that chicken stock. Just a little different texture, a little different appearance. And that's what we're using as our finishing sauce. Once we get this sauce, we'll throw a handful of cheese on it, because we can. Put a little aluminum foil on it, and we're going to set it in the oven, let it finish doing its thing. A word on aluminum foil real quick. If, by chance, you're working with a pan that's shallow enough that the chance of the foil touching your food, put a barrier in between them. Okay, piece of parchment paper, piece of saran wrap. It won't burn in the oven as long as aluminum foil has protected it. Because what will happen is, particularly this tomato sauce, will react with that little thin sheet of aluminum. And it starts eating away when it corrodes, it rusts. And then you get aluminum foil byproducts all in your food. That's not good eats. So we don't have that problem. We've got an inch or so. We've got our 2 sauces, which is only one, just changed. Our manicotti, a little bit of mozzarella. Still not worried about the food touching the foil. We'll get it wrapped up, shoved into the hot box, and in about half an hour or so, that dish will be done. In the oven, 30 minutes or so, 350. Then we eat.
All right, so today we're gonna make some stuffed shells. I mean, who doesn't love a good stuffed shell? So, what you're gonna need some ricotta cheese, some pasta sauce. We're just going to use some good old-fashioned marinara, some Parmesan, an egg, some mozzarella, some oregano, or some Italian seasoning, and some basil. And then, of course, something to put in the oven, a bowl, and your jumbo shells. If you wanted to get fancy, you could always throw some meat in there, but we're not going to do that today. So Chef Ramsey's got our shells going in the back, so we're going to get our filling fixed, and then once our shells are done, we'll get everything stuffed and in the oven. So we're going to take our 15 ounces of ricotta cheese, and we're just going to put it in our bowl. Then we're going to add our Parmesan. Our Italian seasoning. Our fresh basil. Now, I'm going to make sure we get all the basil. That's probably one of my favorite herbs. Put our egg in there. Our egg's going to act as a good binding agent to hold all this together. Before I put our mozzarella in, I'm just going to mix some of this up. That way I don't crush our mozzarella. Now, if you wanted, you could add hamburger. You could add some sort of Italian sausage if you wanted. Just kind of whatever you were in the mood for. Fresh garlic would also be good in this. We're a garlic household at my house, so we eat a lot of garlic. So you just want to make sure everything's mixed real well. Add in your cheese. Now I'm just going to gently fold all this in. And then our filling is good to go. So I'm just going to set that aside while we wait on our noodles. So I'm going to go ahead and get my pan ready for when we get everything stuffed and good to go. So I'm going to take about 3/4 of my marinara and just line the bottom of my pan here. Now this is just jarred marinara. You can always add stuff to it. Make sure you cover the bottom real good. And then after our shells are stuffed, we're just going to set them right on top of our pasta, or right on top of our pasta sauce. There goes the recipe. All right, so now we're just missing our shells. Just kidding. Here they come. Thank you, sir. All right, now, so these cooked for 9 minutes till they were al dente. They are a little warm, not too terrible, but so you're just going to take a spoon or a piping bag. That's usually how I fill mine. But you're just going to get a spoon. Fill them. And fill them with how much or how little you would like. This is about a tablespoon's worth. Make sure you get underneath the little groove. Now, I'm not wearing gloves. We're going to cook this again, so that's not a huge deal. I'm starting to run out of filling. I still have plenty of pasta left. There's still plenty to do that you could do with them. You could cover them with some butter and some Parmesan. If If you have extra pasta sauce, if there's a picky eater in your house that doesn't like stuffed shells, they could just eat some jumbo shells with some sauce on them. See if I can get one more out of this. I think so. Yep, one more. Put that one right there. All right. So, I'm going to take the other fourth of my sauce. You don't have to use all of it. Just kind of spread it out on top of my pasta here. Now, if you like yours covered in sauce, just cover it completely. We're just going to add a little bit here and there. Just kind of what you're feeling. Now, we're going to cover this in aluminum foil, so I'm going to go grab some aluminum foil. I'll be right back. All right, so we're going to cover our dish with aluminum foil. Our dish is deep enough so I don't need to cover anything on top.
I got locked up there thinking you were doing it. And here I'm now for sure.
It's all right. We're done in like 30 seconds. So now I'm going to put this in the oven for about 30 minutes. Then I'm going to take it out and remove the foil and let it bake for another 5 or 10 minutes. So it's going to go in the oven for about 30 minutes at 350, and then we'll take it back out and take the foil off and bake it uncovered for about 5 minutes. So we'll be back.
Folks, I remember a long time ago, seems like days, we made some pasta dough. Well, we've got that out now, but we need to do something else with it before we work the dough out. We're going to make ravioli out of that dough. And we're going to make mushroom-filled ravioli, so we need to make the filling for the pasta. Now we have the pasta. Then we need to make the sauce that goes over the pasta. So we'll get started with the mushroom filling. Uh-oh. I say we will. Maybe we won't. There we go. Now we have fire. So what goes in the filling? Rather simple. We're going to start making a dish called duxelle. Classic French. And it's some onion or shallot, mushrooms, thyme, salt, and pepper. That's pretty much it. Then we're going to put a little left turn on it. We're going to add some ricotta cheese, a little Parmesan cheese. And that will be the filling that goes into the ravioli. We'll turn around and make a little Parmesan cream sauce, which is pretty much just that. It's going to be heavy cream, some Parmesan cheese, a little garlic, some herbage, and then we'll have a garnish. The recipe doesn't say anything about it. We had some mushrooms left over. We sauteed some mushrooms up, and that will be our garnish. It's going to have mushrooms on the inside. We'll put mushrooms on the outside. You do a little foreshadowing and let folks know what they're fixing to get into. So in our skillet, tablespoon or so olive oil. How much? Recipe calls for 2 shallots, finely chopped. We didn't have shallots. I forgot to pick them on Miss Kroger. So we're using white onion. We'll call it about 2 tablespoons. And as is typical, whatever goes in the pan gets a little love. Onions are softened up. Doesn't take long. You mince them small. Then we're going to add our mushrooms. Now, I'll use the word mince on the onion, and that wasn't exactly accurate. It was a brunoise. We've been doing that all day. It cooks faster, gives more flavor. The mushrooms truly are minced, and that's just kind of irregular, small pieces. And as is standard, what goes in the pan gets a little love. With salt and pepper on our mushrooms. Now, some folks don't like mushrooms. I don't know that I trust those people, but some folks don't like mushrooms. And they'll say, why do I like them so much? Well, I can tell you exactly why in one word. It's a Japanese word. It's umami. U-M-A-M-I, umami. Umami is a sense of taste. It's the fifth sense of taste. So you have sour, you have salty, sweet, and bitter. We all know what those things are. We can identify those as salt, salty, sugar, sweet. Lemons are bitter or sour. Right? So we know what they are. Umami is just a sense of savoriness. It's particularly found in mushrooms, meats, soy sauce, fish sauce, some cheeses, some wines, but it's just a component of flavor. It's that sense of savoriness. Now, I like mushrooms. How do you know when your mushrooms are cooked? Cook them till they're dry. Okay, there's a lot of water in mushrooms. When we put them in with the oil, the water starts leaching out. It's my ringtone. No, it's not. Anyway, cook them till they're dry. You got to leach that water out. You dry them off. Then you start roasting them a little bit in your pan. You get more flavor that way. So always cook your mushrooms until they're dry. That might be just a minute. We'll go and add in our garlic. Now, at this point, that is classic French. You can stuff mushrooms with duxelle. You can use duxelle in place of pâté or fragua when you're making beef Wellington. You smear it on bread. It's just good. Smell the garlic. Most of the water's gone. We'll add our thyme in. Now, here's where it takes that left turn, a little ricotta cheese. Turn our heat just off. There's plenty of residual heat in that pan now. And then lastly, Parmesan cheese. And we need to let this cool for just a couple minutes, which is good because we have other things to do. Fire back on. Heat up another pan. Our sauce is a little cheese, a little cream, a little thyme, garlic, and nutmeg. That's it. That's everything. Let's look at the instructions, see what that has to say. Heat a olive oil in a large pan, fry the garlic in 1 minute, add the cream, thyme, nutmeg, salt, pepper. Bring it to a boil, 30-40 seconds, turn it down and add the cheese. Well, that's rather straightforward. We'll do just what it says. Touch of oil. Oil's hot, garlic in. Garlic's cooked. Go with the cream. Time. Nutmeg. Now, we do want the cream to boil because it's going to reduce just a little bit. It's going to give up some of its water. Take something that's fatty and luscious and make it more fatty and luscious. Y'all notice Chef Keisha behind me? If you're curious what she's doing, she's making dessert for us here shortly. And there's I only think of a few classic Italian desserts. And of those, probably my favorite's cannoli. So it's it's not pasta. Yeah, we're doing everything else as pasta, but it's still filled. It's kind of a cookie. We're cheating. I'm not going to tell you how. I'll let her do that. But that's what she's doing. She's frying the shells that will become our cannoli. Turn that heat way down. Down some more. And we'll add our cheese. And basically that, as they say, is that. Let me clean up my mess, wipe down this table, throw a little flour. We're going to roll out some pasta. Adjustment. All right, folks, we've got our pasta filling done. We've got our pasta sauce done. And we've got our pasta laid out, sort of. Now, I told you Izzy was hanging out with us today. She went to the effort, took that dough ball that y'all saw me put away in the fridge, and she broke it into quarters and started rolling it out for me. Looks something kind of like these. We just need to make it a little thinner, and it takes a minute. Now, if you're rolling your dough out and it pulls back against you, shrinks back in substantially, just leave it rest a few more minutes. That's that gluten we were talking about. And now, when you're rolling dough, pasta, pie doughs, whatever, roll from the center out. If you roll from an edge towards the center, what it's going to do is roll up on your rolling pin. It's not going to help you out. Now, you need to make this thin, like 32nd of an inch. So it's a little bit of work. It's a labor of love. And you need to make sure it doesn't stick on your table. It's not. I will caution my kids generally when we're doing our pie doughs about putting too much bench flour down, because your dough will actually pick it up. It'll dry out while you're working it. I've never had that happen with pasta. It'll take pretty much anything you give it. Dry is a good thing for it. Okay. Oh, got a big bubble in it now. We'll just try to avoid using that. Let me go fetch the filling, and I'll be right back. Okay, folks, we got our filling, got ourselves a portion scoop. What we have here is just a couple eggs scrambled with some water. It's called an egg wash. And our application here, it will be like culinary super glue. And we've got a ring cutter. So let's make some raviola. So, mushrooms. We'll do a couple out of this sheet. Mushrooms. And mushrooms. Now, we're going to take our egg wash, and everything that's not mushroom is going to get egg washed. Got to put those two close together. Might have to change my cutter for that. Now again, that egg wash is going to cause the dough to stick together, because we don't want this to be coming apart while we're cooking it. That would be bad. Now, we can tell where those little pockets of mushrooms are. We just need to push all that air out and seal it. Let the egg wash do its job. Then we'll take our ring cutter. Chef Keisha, would you hand me a fork, please? But still have some air in it. Got to get rid of that. Thank you, ma'am. right there where I'd sealed it, push the air out. Now we're going to come back and just with the tip of the tines of the fork, press the top and the bottom together. That keeps it from coming unglued while it's cooking. Because if it blows apart, it's not good eats anymore. Again, I've said this several times. Never said it was fast food. It's just good food. It's a labor of love right here. You do this for your other, they know that they're important to you. I'm just saying. So, got a dozen or so more to go. That's 3. So, be back in a minute. Chef Keisha will show you what she was cheating on. Then we're going to make set some food out. It's going to be good.
And what makes a meal complete? Dessert. Always dessert. So we're going to make some cannolis. So as Chef Ramsay called me out for cheating, we've already made some cannoli shells. We did use some egg roll wrappers. I'll show you guys how to do that. But first we need to make our cannoli cream because it actually has to chill. So I've got my bowl and my whisk attachment. I'm going to have to whip up my cream. So we're going to use the whisk attachment. A tip to get your cream to whip up easier is to chill your bowl. You can always put it in the freezer or the refrigerator, whichever one works best. I put mine in the refrigerator. So I've got to whip my whipping cream till stiff peaks. So we got to start there before we do anything else. So I'm going to turn this on, turn it up fairly high, and just let it run. But it doesn't quite reach my cream, so we're going to have to take it off and hold it up. Now don't be afraid to turn your mixer up. It won't hurt it because we want it to whip it up real well. Now we're not using a ton of whipping cream, so I had to hold it up to reach my whisk attachment so it would actually start to whip it. Turn it off and check and see where we are here. I don't think we're quite at a stiff peak. Nope, not quite. So for a stiff peak, we want our cream to stand up. When we take our whisk and we pull it up, it'll stand up straight. So what our whisk is doing is just incorporating a whole lot of air into our whipping cream. It would do the same thing if we were using egg whites or meringue to make meringue. So that's just what this attachment does. It just incorporates air. So since I only used a half a cup, we may not really be able to get a good visual on a peak. So what I like to do to check my peaks is I like to take whatever it is and kind of run my whisk around it. Oh, there we go. And then pull it out and then it's standing up. So we got a good stick peak. So I'm going to take the cream that's left, kind of knock it off. And then we're actually going to be done with our whisk attachment. We're going to take it and we're going to gently scrape it into another bowl because we're going to keep using this bowl for the rest of our cannoli cream. So you want to gently put your whipping cream into another bowl so that way you don't deflate it. So that's what gives our cannoli cream the light and fluffy, is all the air that we just whipped into our whipping cream. Now if we don't get it all, it's not a huge deal. but we want to get as much as we can. So, we're just going to set that aside for now. I'll lay my spatula here. So now I'm going to take my ricotta cheese. So my ricotta cheese has been hanging out over top of my bowl with a strainer. So that way all of the excess liquid that's hanging out in my ricotta cheese collects in the bottom. So that way we don't have any more liquid that's needed in our cream. That way it doesn't mess up our consistency. So then we're going to add our powdered sugar, our vanilla, and just a touch of cinnamon. So then we're going to switch to our paddle attachment. So we use our paddle attachment pretty much for anything that you want to mix. So cake batters, brownies, stuff like that. So now we're just going to mix this on low until everything is combined very well. Now about partway through, you may want to stop and scrape down your mixer because stuff will get stuck to the bottom and then things won't get incorporated. And then you won't have a consistent mixture or flavors either. Then you won't have everything tasting the same for every bite. So whatever you've got on your spatula, you can just knock it back in your bowl, run your mixer, another 30 seconds or so. All right, so now I'm going to take all this off my stand mixer. Scrape it off my paddle attachment here. That way we've got everything we need. Then I'm going to take my heavy cream, gently add it back in. To this mixture. And my chocolate chips. So these are dark chocolate. So we are actually going to fold them in. So when you fold something, you just literally take the stuff and you just fold it on top of each other. So when you fold this mixture, you are keeping the air from our whipping cream intact. So that way it stays airy. Make sure you scrape the bottom of your bowl. Make sure everything's mixed well, incorporated well. Scrape down the side of your bowl. Because you want everything to be mixed up. All right, so we put our ricotta cheese in, our whipping cream. So those are two things that are typically, see look, I didn't mix it real well. Still had some whipping cream on the side. Fold that in. So those are two things that are typically cold. So I'm actually going to take our cannoli cream and chill it. So it's got to chill. Recipe says for about 2 hours. So I'm going to cover it and chill it. And while it's chilling, we'll get our cannoli shells ready. So I'm going to wrap it, put it up to chill, and then I'll show you guys how to fix our cheater cannoli shells. All right. So as Chef Ramsay said, we are cheating and using egg roll wrappers. So these are just regular egg roll wrappers that you can buy at Walmart. So these are cannoli tubes. Got these on Amazon. But they're actually way bigger than my egg roll wrappers. So what I had to do was I took my cannoli tube and I actually trimmed it down smaller than my cannoli wrapper, because our cannoli wrapper needs to stick out a little bit so that way you can pull it out after you deep fry it. So I took my egg roll wrappers and I trimmed off part of it, and then I took them and then I folded them in half. Cut them again. And if you've never worked with egg roll wrappers, they're not paper thin, but they're not far from it. These are the ones that I worked on earlier just to make sure they would work. And they actually work quite well. So you take your egg roll wrapper and your cannoli roll, and I took it and I kind of laid it in the center of my egg roll wrapper and kind of at an angle. So to seal an egg roll wrapper, you need water of some sort of liquid. I just use regular water. I put a little bit on the corner furthest away, and then another corner on the opposite end. I take my egg roll at the top left and I roll it towards my egg roll or my cannoli roller, and then I just kind of roll it onto itself. So that way my egg roll wrapper is wrapped completely around my cannoli roller and my cannoli roller is sticking out. Because when I deep fry this, my egg roll wrapper is going to expand like these did, but I'll still be able to pull this out so that way I can fill it. So and they seal up very nice. Sometimes a couple of these, they would bubble up and I would have to pull it out the other direction instead of the side I intended. And if for some reason you cut it a little bit too big, you can always trim it off. I had to play with them a few times to see which side made the most sense, which size, what was the best way to roll them. And you don't have to wrap them super tight, but you want to wrap them tight enough that they're not going to come unwrapped while they're being deep fried. You just want to cook them until they're brown, a good golden brown. It took about a minute and a half. So I'm going to fry these up and then check on our cannoli cream and see how that is. And then we'll get these guys filled and we'll have some cannolis. So we'll be right back. All right, so our cannoli shells are cooked. Our cannoli cream is full or cooled, so we are good to go. So since this is a ready to eat food, I'm gonna put my gloves on. I'll show you guys how to take these cannoli shells out and then we'll fill them. So a couple of these popped right out. They weren't wrapped very tight, so we'll move them over here. We'll fill them anyway. So to remove this, I still have a little grease in there. Gently hold the shell and twist on the tube and it'll slide right out. And then we'll fill it full of cream here in just a second. Now if for some reason there was a bubble, like this one has a little lip right here, you can just pull it out on the other side. They come right out. So, get this out of the way. All right. So our cannoli cream has chilled. It's ready to go. Kind of mix it up a little bit. All right, so now we're going to fill our piping bag. Now, these are giant piping bags. So, I'm going to roll it down. Now, if for some reason you didn't want to hold it on your hand, you can actually roll it down, put it over a cup, do it that way. Like one of those big wide mouth stadium cups, that'll do the same thing. It'll hold it open for you. You can fill it up that way. So, I'm going to fill it full of all of our cannoli cream. When we cut the end of it off, we have to remember that we do have chocolate chips in here. So we're using full-size chocolate chips. Recipe says mini. Chocolate chips are chocolate chips. So I got to make sure I cut the hole big enough that the chocolate chips will come out. Then we'll see how these cannolis are. All right, since I do have the chocolate chips, I'm actually probably going to cut it about right there. Put this over here so I don't lose any. Now this isn't near as thick as, see, our chocolate chips fit Chef Ramsay's stuffing that he used. So I'm going to find one of these that rolled up real nice. So hold it up here so you guys can see. Just fill it. And there we have a cannoli. You can see the filling. Well, let's turn this one upside down. This one kind of filled weird. Now, if you wanted to get real fancy, you could dip the ends in like chocolate, dust them with powdered sugar. Put some fruit in them. That kind of stuff. But you just squeeze them until the cannoli cream gets to one end. Your cannoli should sit up by themselves. They shouldn't roll around. And you just fill until it's full all the way through. Now if your piping bag gets to where, like mine is, you just kind of work it down, spin it a little bit. And just as it fills, just pull your piping bag out as it marks.
Well, folks, there we go. We did our stuffed pasta for the day. We've got some manicotti. Now, truth be told, Chef Pitt's little hack with the egg roll wrappers to make cannoli, do the same thing for manicotti. Or you fill it and wrap it to stuff it. So we've got some mushroom ravioli, a little cream sauce on the bottom, a little fried mushroom on top. Got our cannoli. I can't have it. Do a keto.
I'll have it for you.
I appreciate you looking at me like that. And our shells stuffed with 3 cheeses. So, it's not fast food, it's good food. We appreciate that y'all came to hang out with us. We'll be back again soon. Remember, if you need some catering goods done, give us a little push. Maybe we can work something out. Our kids sustained our pathway through their catering efforts and our catering operations. So, till next time, bon appetit. See you soon.